Hello, thank you very much. Thank you.
Will you commit here today for a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it, and you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
The second question is, will you?
Please go ahead. You asked the question.
Mr. President, do you go after the Russians?
The force of truth rests on our capability to understand and reject the destructive power of a lie. Nothing that he said was true. Nothing. Here is the truth. He lost the election in a landslide. Nobody running for president of the United States had ever lost by 7 million votes. He did. Until now, it was unimaginable that anyone would lose an election so woefully and claim that he won. Despite all evidence, that is the truth of what happened. That, again, is the truth. So, on December 23, 2020, exactly 2 weeks before January 6th, I wrote, "We are watching calmly and going on with business as usual, while this guy is engaged in subverting our democracy. Let's call his actions exactly what they are. A slow-motion coup plot in broad daylight." Then came January 6th.
So, let's have trial by combat.
And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal. It's a pure theft in American history. Everybody knows it. That election, our election, was over at 10 o'clock in the evening. We're leading Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia by hundreds of thousands of votes. And then late in the evening or early in the morning, boom, these explosions of bullshit. And all of a sudden, and this amazing movement, thank you. We're going to walk down and I'll be there with you. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. States want to revote. The states got defrauded. They were given false information. They voted on it. Now they want to recertify. They want it back. All Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states to recertify. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. And we're going to the Capitol, and we're going to try and give. The Democrats are hopeless. They're never voting for anything. Not even one vote. But we're going to try and give our Republicans, the weak ones, because the strong ones don't need any of our help. We're going to try and give them the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I want to thank you all. God bless you, and God bless America.
Later in the day, on January 6th, 2021, I could not help but write the following words. After watching today's coup attempt by Trump and his supporters, and its handling by law enforcement, I am reminded of exactly who the law exists to protect and who it exists to correct. This was one of the greatest exposés of our society on January 6th. This was Capitol Hill during the peaceful protests of Black Lives Matter. I need say no more. This was the same Capitol Hill on January 6, 2021.
No one can tell me that if had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol. We all know that's true. And it is unacceptable, totally unacceptable.
We witnessed two systems of justice. When we saw one that let extremists storm the United States Capitol, and another that released tear gas on peaceful protesters last summer. The American people have expressed brightly outrage. We know this is unacceptable. We know we should be better than this.
As we have just recently experienced in the United States, a lie can carry with it a destructive, consequential force that may or may not be very obvious at the time that a lie is told. When individuals without economic and or political power lie, they harm their own image because they make themselves untrustworthy. As I once wrote, on the other hand, lying leaders are a scourge to the organizations and or nations that they lead. There is perhaps no better time than the aftermath of the insurrection of January 6, 2021, to emphasize this resounding fact, because there are severe consequences and lessons for our world. From the people who gave veiled orders and those who complied with those orders, the people who believed lies for so many years in the face of contrary evidence, politicians who have turned politics into a scorched earth occupation, to those complicit men and women of the frog who propped up lies with false prophecies, and a society that implements its laws differently depending on one's race. There are two questions that I feel very strongly about. First, how many more people need to die from hate and injustice in our world? Second, how many more people should die for a lie, any lie? We desperately need to begin to stitch our society back together. But we cannot do that if segments of our society here in the United States or anywhere in our world remain vulnerable to the damaging lies of powerful people. This is what I believe.